Welcome to the Good Old Days of Radio Show. It's Tuesday. This is John Tefteller, your host, and we are doing something kind of special on Tuesdays these weeks, and we'll continue for a little while. We are going to the shelves and pulling off a transcription disc, a vintage original 16-inch transcription disc that we think is not circulating around within collector circles, and we're playing it for the very first time. We give it a quick wash, put it on the turntable, and let it go. No restoration, no editing, just there it is. This particular show is one of my all-time favorites for stupid comedy. It Pays to Be Ignorant is the name of it. We've had this many times on the Good Old Days of Radio Show, and each time I pull one of these out and play them, we get a good reaction, so we'll keep doing it as long as we keep getting good reactions. This particular one is from Armed Forces Radio Service. I don't think the original network version survives, but due to the good folks at Armed Forces Radio back then, we do have a chance to hear it now. And it's virtually the entire show, except for maybe some commercial announcements are missing. But other than that, it's the entire program as it was. The date for this particular one, for you hunting around to see if this is something you've already heard, and I don't think it is, but the original broadcast date for this was December 29th, 1944. So it's an earlier one, during the time when the originals were probably recorded on glass transcriptions. So for all of those of you out there who like dad jokes, both good and bad, this is a whole series of them presented to you by some crazy vaudevillians who dug up every joke in vaudeville and decided to bring it back to radio in 1944. And onward. They were on for about 10 years doing this kind of silliness every week. The musical bridges on the show remind me a bit of Spike Jones, and I think that that's what they're going for, is to make the music as goofy as the jokes, and they do a pretty good job in succeeding. So here we go.
What is a New Year's resolution?
Something that goes in one year and out the other.
Correct. Pay that man $8. What is an icicle?
A stiff piece of water.
Correct. Pay that man $9 because
it pays to be ignorant.
It pays to be ignorant, to be dense, to be dumb, to be ignorant. It pays to be ignorant just like me. Each week I earn $6. My brain is terribly lax.
Well, here it is again, that quiz program which is making the monkeys think they are pretty smart. With a board of experts who are fast becoming an institution, and that's where they belong. First, we have the celebrated author, Mr. Harry McNaughton, who has just written a book entitled How to Understand the Einstein Theory, or 3 Easy Ways to Fall Out of a Boat. But here he is, Mr. Harry McNaughton.
I have a poem, Mr. Howard.
You'll never fail.
Yes, there was a young fellow named Paul who went to a fancy dress ball, but sad to relate, he dressed up as a steak and was eaten with relish by all.
I see. I hope he was tender.
Yeah, another fellow went as a pound of butter, you know.
Uh-huh.
He wanted to spread himself.
Oh, cut it out, please. Next, we have a woman who is so big when she goes out at night, she has to wear headlights. A woman who is so stout, they have to grease her hips to get her through the hollow tunnel. Here she is, as much of her as we could get in the studio, Miss Lulu McConnell.
You know, Mr. Howard, I'm through with horse racing.
You're wise, Miss McConnell. Running around those tracks is too strenuous for a woman of your age.
They really took me to the cleaners yesterday.
I see. I thought you looked fresher this evening.
You know, I put everything I had on one horse.
Miss McConnell, you couldn't get everything you have on one horse.
Is that so? One of these nights I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
I see. Well, you better keep it. You can't afford it. Next, we have a man who was such a mean kid, his parents ran away from home. A man who spent 3 days in a revolving door looking for the doorknob, Mr. George Shelton. Mr. Shelton.
Say, you know, Mr. Howard, coming up to the studio this evening, I lost my checkbook.
Yeah, well, that isn't serious.
No, but it would have had been if I hadn't been so smart.
You were smart?
Yeah.
This I gotta hear.
Yeah. You see, no one else can use them but me.
How come?
I signed every one of the checks with my name.
Well, Mr. Sheldon, if you have a brain, it's overdrawn. Well, let's get on. Here's the first question. Let's try and answer it. Now, pay attention.
Yes.
Here it is. How long does it take a ship to make a 5-day journey? No help from the audience, please.
Mr. Howard, would you mind repeating the question?
I'll be glad to. How long does it take a ship to make a 5-day journey?
Thank you so much. Carry on.
I see.
Say, what was the question, Mr. Howard?
Well, I'll repeat it again for you, Mr. Sheldon. How long does it take a ship to make a 5-day journey?
Where to?
What do you mean, where to? I don't know where to.
You mean you're taking a 5-day journey and you don't know where you're going?
Yes. Suppose you don't like it there.
Well, you can always come back.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there before?
Oh, please. This is all beside the point. Miss McConnell, do you know anything about ships?
What do you mean?
I mean, are you nautical?
Well, I have my moments.
You have your... Must be very dull. Look, the question is, how long does it take a ship to make a 5-day journey?
What's the name of the ship?
Ah, nuts.
Yeah?
Oh, that's a funny name for a ship.
Yeah.
And they told me something about ships. Why do they always refer to a ship as a she?
Because they make their best showing in the wind.
Look. Will you try and answer the question?
Say, Mr. McNaughton.
Yes.
Speaking about ships.
Yes.
How do you tell the starboard from the port?
Oh, by the label on the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll never forget the last ocean trip I took. In the middle of the night, some guy came busting into my stateroom hollering, "The ship is leaking! The ship is leaking!"
Yeah, what'd you do?
I told him to put a pan under it and go to bed.
They'll find their place in a minute, folks. It's a musical question. Perhaps we can get this one. Now listen very closely. What instrument is featured in Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto?
Mr. Howard, would you mind repeating that question in English?
Repeating it in English?
Yes.
I'm speaking English. What instrument is featured in Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto?
Whose concerto, Mr. Howard?
Look, Tchaikovsky.
The Sunday.
I say, you know, my grandfather was a great violinist, you know.
He was.
Great violinist. He used to fiddle with his whiskers.
He used to fiddle. Very funny.
Silly.
You know, when I was 5 years old, I used to play on the organ.
I see.
Oh, that's nothing. When I was 3 years old, I used to play on the linoleum.
Wow.
I think That's how I got my cold.
I think it is.
Hey, that's a very pretty instrument, too, the linoleum.
Yeah.
So smooth,
All right, let's pass.
I've got a whole collection of musical instruments.
You have?
Oh, rather. I have a clarinet, bassoon, piccolo, and a French horn.
Have you a fife?
I've got a fife and 3 kids.
Look, never mind the puns. I'd like to know what instrument is featured in Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto.
You would? Well, why don't you ask somebody?
I'm asking you.
Oh, you are? Oh, just what is it you'd like to know, Mr. Hart?
Business. Look, do you know anything about music?
Do I? I'm an authority on opera.
Yeah.
Ask me something about opera.
Look, but I don't want to know anything about opera.
Oh, well, if you don't want to learn.
I don't like opera.
You don't like opera? Why?
The girls don't come out on the runway.
I see. That wouldn't interest you.
Take it off.
Never mind. Save your voice, Mr. Sheldon. What instrument is featured in Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto?
Concerto?
Yeah.
Would it be a cornet?
No. Cornet is something the ladies have up in their hair like a braid.
No. That's a coronet.
Oh, no, Mr. Hart, I beg to differ. A coronet is a pair of glasses on a long, sort of a dirty look on a stick.
Dirty look on a stick. That's a lorgnette, Mr. McNaughton.
What are you talking about? A lorgnette is one of those insects that sting you.
Mr. Sheldon, that's hornet.
Oh.
A hornet, a funny-looking insect with pop eyes that's always buzzing around making a pest of itself.
Now we're back to Miss McConnell again.
Thank you. When you think of noise, you think of a boiler factory. When we think of noise, we think of Dr. Novick and his Auguster. Here they are, a junk heap with an 802 card. Dr. Novick. Get together, will you? Anything can happen with this one. Sounds like New Year's Eve, doesn't it? I'm certainly glad that's over. Well, who is our first contestant this evening, Mr. Roberts?
Our first contestant, Mr. Howard, is Master Sergeant Frank S. Levitt of the United States Army.
Boy, how do you do, Mr. Levitt? This is indeed a pleasure. You certainly do look like the Army. Imagine you are some Army yourself to look at you. Boy, what a man. How much do you weigh, Mr. Levitt?
280 pounds.
280 pounds. What do you think of that? My goodness, that's just 195 pounds more than me. Well, We're very, very happy to have you with us. How do you feel?
I feel fine, Mr. Howard.
Thank you. Where is your hometown, would you care to tell us?
Norcross, Georgia.
Norcross, Georgia. Oh, yeah.
Norfolk, Georgia.
Norcross, Georgia.
Well, put hair on my chest and call me Harry.
Yeah?
You know, I used to work in that town, Mr. Howard.
You did?
I was a lawyer on the docks.
Oh, interesting. A lawyer on the docks.
Yeah, I used to take cases off the ships.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Just ignore him, Frank. You say Norcross, Georgia. I've been down that country. That's right near Chickland Switch, isn't it?
Right next door.
Yes, I remember that place well. That's some country down there. How long you been in the service, Frank?
On and off, 37 years.
37 years. I bet when you took the job, you thought it was going to be steady.
I say, you know, Sergeant, I was in the last war, you know. I was in the Army.
You were in the Army?
Or rather, I was the regimental barber.
A regimental barber?
I went over the top like...
You went, please. What did you do before you entered the service, Frank?
I was a professional wrestler, Mr. Howard.
A wrestler?
Yes, sir.
What do you think of that, a wrestler?
You wrestled?
Wrestler.
Oh, gee, you want to wrestle now?
Oh, yeah. I imagine. Sit down, will you? You're rocking the boat. You were a wrestler. You know, something's just dawned on me. Your face is very familiar. Didn't you used to have whiskers?
Yes, sir.
What was your professional name?
Man Mountain Dean.
Man Mountain Dean! Oh! Now we're getting someplace, yes. Now that takes me back to my boyhood. I remember you around the old Haymarket Theater in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Remember those days?
Yes, you was in burlesque show then.
That's right. Well, the burlesque shows were nice those days. We didn't have any runways those days. Well, this is certainly an unexpected pleasure, and I'll assure you that you have not lost much weight. The Army has really done you good. I would like to get some. What do you eat, or what is your diet?
Well, I eat everything they put in front of me.
Yeah, I imagine. And then some. I guess you've had lots of cornbread and pot liquor down the South.
Well, you can look at the size.
Yeah. And some of those black-eyed beans?
Yeah, I'd like to have some right now.
I bet. Boy, I'll have to eat some of them if I can get like that. That looks great to me. Well, we certainly are glad to have you with us, Mr. Dean, or rather, Frank. It certainly is a pleasure.
What's your first name, Frank?
What's your first name, Frank? Frank.
Oh, Frank.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lovely name.
Yeah.
He's a kind of a cute kid, too.
Yeah,
Well, you can just call me Football. I play the field.
Yeah. Yes, and you're just as wide. Frank, you can do us a favor while you're here. Will you reach into the dunce cap there and pick out a question for us, please? And when you get a hold of one, any question, would you read it for us right into the microphone?
Name 4 song titles in which a girl's name is mentioned.
Now, that's a very good question. Name 4 song titles in which there's a girl's name mentioned.
California, here I come.
Where's the girl's name?
She's in California.
She's in California.
You know, I got a girl in California.
You got a girl in California?
And I got one in Brooklyn, too.
I see.
Ain't you afraid one of them will find out about it?
You got a girl in California and one in Brooklyn?
Right, yeah.
Ain't you afraid that one of them will find out about the other?
No, the east is east, and the west is west, and never the dame shall meet.
Logical.
Well, we're getting away from the question. Name 4 song titles in which there's mentioned a girl's name.
Girl's name?
A girl's name.
I know a song title with a sneeze in it.
With a sneeze in it?
Yeah. When I'm looking at you.
When I'm looking at you.
When I'm looking at you, that's very good,
reaching,
you know. That is ripping, you know.
All right. He's off.
I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I didn't think you would. Will you please cut it out? I want a girl's name.
How about Joe?
Joe is not a girl's name.
No, how about Josephine?
That's right. Come, Josephine, in my flying machine.
Well, that's all right. That's fine. How about another?
Mr. Howard, did you hear the new income tax song?
Has it got a girl's name in it?
Girls' name. Let me see now. What?
Income tax song. What's the name of it?
Everything I have is yours.
Everything.
Lovely.
Mr. McNaughton, do you know the road to Mandalay?
Oh, rather. Indeed, I do. Do you want me to sing it?
No, take it.
I got one, Mr. Howard.
You've got one what?
I got one of the... What was the question again?
Look, I want another song title with a girl's name in it.
Oh, yeah, Beautiful Katie.
Beautiful Katie is good.
I wouldn't know. I just met her last night.
I see.
I know a song about a horse,
You do? What kind of a horse?
a big horse.
How's it go?
Big horse, I love you.
All right.
Big horse, I love
Miss
you.
McConnell, please, will you stop singing about yourself?
What do you mean? I'm no horse.
You want to bet? Come on,
Hey,
please.
Mr. Howard, tell me, did you hear the new repeat song?
Repeat song?
Yes, The Return of the Swallow by Gulp.
The return.
A naive piece of stuff.
Yes,
It's
I
very
imagine
nice.
it would be.
Yes.
Can we get another song title with a girl's name in it?
I Love Louisa.
That's fine. I love Louisa.
Oh, you both love the same girl.
I used to sing that song.
You did? I didn't know you could sing, Miss McConnell. Mm-hmm. How's your range?
Full of gas.
Yeah. Your range is not the only thing that's full of gas. This ought to be good. Oh. Ain't that Now what? Anything can happen, folks. Wish somebody would throw that guy a fish. Better put another nickel in that thing. Don't go away, folks. This is the finish. Thank you. Thank you. This is too much. All right. Would you mind telling us again who is our next contestant, if you will?
Gladly, Mr. Howard. Our next contestant is Private First Class Sadie Owen of the United States Marines.
Well. So the Marines have landed. How do you do, Miss Owen, and welcome to our program. It's nice to have you. How do you feel, Miss Owen?
Nervous.
Well, don't be nervous. No. There's nothing here to be nervous about. You want to hold my hand? You want to do that? Well, you want a glass of water? You want a drink of water? I don't blame you. That's been there since last week. We're very, very glad to have you. Where is your hometown? Would you care to tell us?
Mount Pleasant, Tennessee.
Mount Pleasant. Oh, yes, Mount Pleasant, Tennessee.
Say, you know, Mr. Howard,
Yeah.
my girl is relieving a lighthouse keeper for service, for active duty.
She is.
Yeah?
Relieving a lighthouse keeper for active duty.
Yeah.
Is she a whack?
No, she's a wick.
She's a wick.
My word. She ought to shine in that job, you know.
Yeah, man.
She's not very
You say
bright.
You're from Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. That's right outside of Nashville, isn't it?
That's right.
How far from Nashville is it?
About 50 miles.
50 miles. I thought that was right. I just wanted to see how my memory was serving me. We played in Nashville many a time. A great town. What did you do before you went into service?
I work for the government
You work for the government. In Nashville or in
in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.? I see.
No, D.C.
D.C. All right, please.
I have a radio that's AC. That wouldn't help, would it?
You have a what?
A radio that's AC.
I
Wouldn't
see.
help.
Now, don't get into the argument. You got me talking that way. Will you cut it out?
Mr.
I
Howard,
see.
I'll have you know, sir, that my brother and I are going to join the Waves.
You and your brother are going to join the Waves?
Yeah, we're meeting them outside the Astor at 10 o'clock.
Oh, is that?
Two very beautiful girls.
I see. Pay no attention to them.
You know, I was out with the captain last night.
You were a what?
Out with the captain.
I see.
He was from the South.
How do you know he was from the South?
Instead of 2 silver bars on his shoulder, he had 2 pieces of shortening bread.
Aye, you know he
I love shortening.
did. You never mind. You got an awful crust full of them kind. Pay no attention to him, Miss Owen. Are you married?
No, I'm not.
Well, you're not married.
What's detaining you?
Oh, wait a minute. Have you been in New York long?
Only yesterday.
Oh, you only got here yesterday.
That's
I was
right.
going to ask you, have you met any nice boys in New York?
I haven't had time yet.
Haven't had time. Well, you'll probably meet them.
Of course, you know, time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. How do you compare the boys in New York with the boys down in Mount Pleasant, is it?
Mount Pleasant. That's
How
right.
do you find the boys down there? And
Well-
compared with the boys in New York?
I haven't met any in New York yet.
Oh, well, you wouldn't know.
No.
Well, let me know when you're anxious to find that out. Would you do us a favor and pick a question out of the dunce cap there for us, and would you kindly read it for us, if you will? Just take your time and read it.
How many people does it take to play a four-handed game of pinochle?
Very good. Did you hear the question? How many people does it take to play a four-handed game of pinochle?
Oh, I held a beautiful hand last night.
You did?
Yes, I'm going to see her again tonight.
Now, wait a minute. Don't get stray from the question. How many people does it take to play a four-handed game of pinochle?
2, Mr. Howard, 2.
I said four-handed game.
Yeah, 2 people. Each person has 2 hands. 2 places, 4 hands.
Yeah, very nice.
It's simple. It's very simple if you know your mathematics.
Yeah, I imagine. Well,
2
I'm
from
not-
2 and 2
I'm not
from
up
4.
on them, Mr. Sheldon.
2 from
Please,
another.
the question's about cards, card games.
You know, I was invited out for some gin rummy the other evening. And what do you think?
What?
When I got there, it was a card game.
It was a card.
Why do people misrepresent things like that?
Look, I'm talking about pinochle.
Oh, pinochle.
Yes,
I love pinochle.
good.
Pinochle and sauerkraut.
Pinochle. That's pig's knuckles.
Yes, pig knuckle.
All right.
Do you like them pickled?
I like anything pickled.
I
That reminds me, I gotta call up my old man.
I see. Can we please get back to the card game?
Yeah, who opened?
I pass.
I'll bid 6 no clubs.
Will you cut it out, please?
I was playing cards, you know, with a young lady the other night, and she made me so mad you could never tell what she held.
Poker face?
No, but I would have liked to.
Now look, will you guys cut out this half-wittism here you're doing, or
Say,
whatever it is?
Mr. Howard, you know, marriage is like a card game.
Marriage is like a card game.
Sure, you start with a pair, he shows a diamond, she shows a flush, and they both end up with a full house.
Well, they're off already.
Should go back in the stockyards, too.
That's what I like, Gilbert and Sullivan.
Sounds like Hart, Schaffner, and Marx to me.
Must suit you, huh?
They found their place. The spring song, and it's starting to winter.
I don't believe it.
was a balmy summer evening and a goodly crowd was there. That makes me feel like reciting now. Fine, thank you. You know,
This is the Armed Forces Radio Service.
Okay, interesting there that they go out or fade out using the theme song, It Pays to Be Ignorant. That is usually not the case with this show, but in this particular case, they did it. They played you the theme song, the instrumental version. You got to hear a little bit of the words to that theme song at the beginning of the show. And you got lots and lots of crazy, corny jokes, and that's the whole point. So that's kind of what we do on Tuesdays is comedy, usually, and we'll continue that. Thursday, we'll be back with more great episodes from Escape as part of our adventure series, Great Adventure Shows. And next Tuesday, we'll pull another transcription disc or two off the shelf and see what we can come up with to let all the old-time radio collectors out there who think they have everything, let them add a couple more shows to their collections. So, yeah, we'll be back next week, and we'll be back on Thursday. So this is John Tefteller in the Good Old Days of Radio Show. Goodbye.